parsley, some of our herbs, and basil is used some, and that's, a lot of, can be a fun challenge if you want to try to grow some of these and go and take some basil and use it in the house as opposed to buying the other. But you kind of have to develop an affection for that. Just a summarizing picture showing the different vegetables that will grow around. Pumpkins we talked about earlier, as far as looking at how long you have to grow them and planting those days. That's an acre, and then if you can see it hiding down in here is your butternut squash. Just some different kinds of squash that will grow. Any idea what that is?
Spaghetti squash.
Spaghetti squash. You open it up and it looks just like spaghetti on the inside. Have you tried, is it?
Have I cooked with it?
Yeah. Does it have that squash taste or?
Yeah, it does. I've used it with pasta sauce. Not pasta, but pasta sauce.
All right. And just, some other examples of squash that will grow. Gourds, is in the squash family, so they will grow too. Watermelons will grow around here. And to me, that's one of those things I can't see eating a yellow watermelon. There's just something about it. But there's been a demand for them, and they've come up with them. They've come up with seedless, and that's one of those you need to get the plant for, as opposed to the seed to do that. You asking about cantaloupe, just the different type of melon that we see most common. We see the cantaloupe there, honeydew. That's always a common question and a lot of fun trying to figure out if a watermelon's ripe or a cantaloupe or what have you. And when the stem will slip off right there, and you can look at that webbing and see the change in the color there, then it's mature. Watermelons, I just kind of, I get tickled at the different ways that people have to figure out watermelons, and you kind of listen to them, and everybody may have their own little method of trying to figure out where watermelons are ripe or not. And once again, just a generic picture of how you can grow a lot of vegetables in a small area. What was on it. But either when they were harvested and washed, the wash water wasn't clean, or maybe somebody was using some sludge for fertilizer and shouldn't been, and got on the outside of the cantaloupe, which that was okay until you go to cut it, and then when you cut it, your knife was putting that inside of there. So there was a little bit of a scare. Always try to wash your produce and take care of your organic. Has a place for it, but you have to be careful about growing. And one of the things you have to do is, just like we were talking about, is getting your soil right. That's the key to any of this. Whether you're doing a vegetable garden conventionally or organic, is getting that soil right. And doing that by taking a soil test, adding the proper nutrients, and then, you can use manures, but have them composted so that they've gone through a heat, and that will kill a lot of the bacteria and settle out so that you don't have an influx of nitrogen going in. Then there are a lot of chemicals. Just because something is said that has been grown organically does not mean it necessarily has not been sprayed. The sulfur, for example, is a good fungicide. That was probably one of the first fungicides we had. In organic trade, you can do that. Then we talked about the BT and insecticidal soap, that those can be used in organic trade. Pyrethrin is derivative from the chrysanthemum, and it's an insecticide that's very effective. It can be used because it was derived from the chrysanthemum. It can be used in organic areas. And like I said, we talked, and some of y'all were able to join us last week or earlier this week, and we were talking about fruit trees and things like that. I wish we didn't have to spray anything at all. I really and truly wish we didn't have to. But in the southeast, without humidity, with our temperature, with our insect pressure, it just is not going to happen. I mean, unless you really, really work at it and really work hard and isolate, rotate, pick varieties that are resistant to some of these diseases. I've touched on when we talked about tomatoes, and I thought I had a picture, but I didn't. Is anybody familiar with what we're talking about, blossom end rot? You have tomatoes, they're growing, and then all of a sudden on the blossom end, the end opposite the stem, it gets real leathery and black or brown. You think it's a disease, but it's actually a calcium deficiency. It needs calcium. And you can spray calcium on the plant, or just be sure when you plant it, put plenty of lime or gypsum down in the ground. And like I said, it's not a disease. And it goes back to what we started out talking about with the insects and diseases, is good identification. If you don't identify it, then you don't know how to treat it. How to convert an inorganic fertilizer recommendation to an organic one. And once you get your soil samples back, if you want them converted, we've got a tab on our soil sample results that it can have the recommendations in an organic form. Or you can go online and download. We've got a publication, Growing Vegetables Organically, that talks a little bit about some of those things, what you need to do in rotation. Personal email is eayers@uga.edu, but you can send me an email, and I am able to check it at both offices. Because we are part of the university, this is the website for extension, extension.uga.edu, and then from there you can either get into any county or to get into publications. The address is georgiaweather.net, and it's a series of weather stations across the state. And you can see, if you're getting ready to travel somewhere, you can still do weather.com. I like to go and just look and check on some of these different sites. And the one thing that this one is actually out back of my Sears, and I mean just a ton of information. What I wanted to point out, we've had beautiful days and people get the itch to start planting. A good rule of thumb is 60 degrees for the soil temperature to plant. All right? 46.5. So your seed are just not going to grow. And I think, wasn't it, when we looked at it Thursday, I think it was 52. Mm-hmm. It seemed like that soil temperature was. But this is I guess you could say, scientific way of looking at whether it's time to plant or not. And I get the question up here a lot of times, when is the time to plant? And for vegetables, for the summer crops that we're talking about, I generally have been told around May the 15th, May the 10th, 1st of May, just don't get in a hurry before then. And, there's all kind of wives' tales to go by. I know a couple of years ago, Feed Fannin had a class on reading an almanac. I've got one, and I can tell you some things out of it, but as far as reading it, I'm not. But there, you could go by something like that, or you could do a method like they had in South Georgia, that they said when people were sitting on a bucket fishing, it was too cold. But when they got rid of the bucket and sat on the ground, it was warm enough to, So, that's kind of one way of looking at it. But looking at this, the plants the seed are just not going to germinate and not going to do well. And it's just real good there. And then you can go over here to the calculator button. Rainfall, for instance. We're ahead of last year. just going in this calendar year. No, that's the wrong one. I'm sorry. You know, we're about on par. We're actually a little ahead of last year. Ahead of 09. But back during this 30-year period from 61 to 90, you know, we're behind. And it's just, I mean, you kind of get fascinated about looking at some of these, some of this information. And, you know, you can, we talked about fruit trees. They depend on chill hours. You can look and see chill hours. And so many ways that this system is used and is available. And it's just got a lot of fun, and just wanted to kind of show you that.